Here on stage now with Scott Amos, who is the executive producer of Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris. Now, Guardian of Light came out of nowhere on me, surprised me, and became one of my favorite co-op games of last gen.
Well, you're not alone in that, right? You know, 2010, it was one of those games that people didn't know it was coming. It was kind of that Crystal's way of saying, let's restart Lara Croft in an exciting, accessible, get everybody in there, in a co-op adventure and say, we're back as Crystal, we're back as Lara Croft in a new direction. Before we went all the way with the reboot of Tomb Raider, and now we're back to Lara Croft with Temple of Osiris.
Excellent. And you came with some gameplay here. We're going to take a look at some footage of Temple of Osiris. Now, what's new in Temple of Osiris? What's the
biggest thing for us is pushing it both from last gen to next gen, right? So it's all 1080p, it's all high def gaming, you know, Xbox, PS4, PC, but it's also 4-player. Right? Guardian was 2-player, which was awesome to have you and your buddy on a couch playing together. But one of the things we really wanted to push for this version was 4-player, and it's mix and match. You and I can be on a couch, 2 of our friends can be at their couches at their homes and log in. So you can be all online, all offline, or all mix and match together.
That's great.
So drop in, drop out, drop your friends over a spike pit, all good things.
There was a lot of dropping my friends into spike pits.
Yeah, no doubt.
There was a lot of getting impaled all the time. So we're walking in now. We're starting off with 2 players here, it looks like.
We are, yeah. So one of the things in this particular set of footage, we're looking at Lara and Isis. So the whole adventure set in ancient Egypt, Temple of Osiris being this classic mythology of a god who ruled Egypt and the underworld and the living world. And he had kind of a blood feud with his brother Set, kind of that evil guy who tore him apart, threw his body pieces all over Egypt. So now Lara's on a quest to kind of prove this myth, this prophecy of Osiris. So we actually start in his temple, which is full of traps, which is full of bad guys and all that kind of thing. We have this 2-player beginning to show Isis, the wife of Osiris, who's been imprisoned here for a long time. So Lara's freed her, and now they're kind of partnered up. But anything that we see, any of these kind of levels we get to go through, are custom for 2 or 1 or 3 or 4 players. They actually will change.
Oh, wow.
To make sure that the experience is right for puzzle or for combat. It'll get harder, it'll have more switches, whatever the different puzzles or combat sequences are, will change depending on how many people you have playing.
Oh, that's great.
And then we split them into classes where we have Lara and a new character named Carter Bell. It's kind of the archaeologist class. They have grapples, they have torches, you know, they have their weaponry, and then you have the Egyptian class, the 2 gods, Isis and her son Horus.
Okay.
They're more of the magic, right? They have a staff of Osiris. They have a light beam they get to use. Kind of Toltec, who was the character from Guardian, had a spear.
Right.
In this game, we wanted to keep that asymmetry. We think it's really important for you and I to have a slightly different perspective on the game.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have to partner up, do things that one can't do alone, but they can do together. So we can actually do things like grapple your friend across an open spit, be able to find this light beam that you can use to destroy these rifts that are torn through Underworld, all that kind of stuff to combine the 2 characters together.
And that's what I love too about the first one is, there was enough difference between the 2 characters where you really felt like you were playing through it in a different way.
Yeah. And on top of that, I mean, once you have these 2 character classes, right? Once you have the Egyptian class and the archaeologist, we still have collectibles, rings and amulets and weaponry. And the rings, like even this first one here you get to pick up, this is something that's personal for your character. You can go in there and you can customize a left and right hand. The rings actually scale in difficulty, or I should say complexity and power.
Okay.
We start with very common items. We have a whole rarity loot system built in with hundreds of these things to find scattered throughout the game. So start with common ones all the way to rare ones. If you play with more people, or if you play more and more in the game, you can actually get more and more of the rare treasure. And then the amulets are used to make your team more powerful. Something that you can find these other artifacts, again, customizing each character individually, but they share that power across as a team. So I can have health regen, you can have ammo regen, somebody can have a firepower that actually lets us have fire bolts coming out of our guns. So pretty cool way to customize your play experience depending on who you're playing with and how you've upgraded your character.
When you're talking about the rings and the amulets going up in a sort of level of complexity, are we ever equipping rings and amulets that give us trade-offs?
No, we're not trading between characters, but the rings and amulets themselves do have trade-offs, right? The very common ones usually have a positive effect and a negative. Like it might increase your power shot, but it might decrease the size of your bomb radius. Or it might be something that weakens your overall health, but it gives you more ammo. So there's some interesting power trade-offs, which is why you want to get the best, right? The very common ones generally have a plus and a minus, whereas the more rare ones generally are all positives.
That's great. And then how many of those can you equip and stack?
How many can you stack?
Yeah.
Well, on your own character, you can only have 2 rings equipped at a time.
Okay.
But everybody can have an amulet. So you can have 4 different amulets, and some of them can have up to 4 or 5 powers. So suddenly you get all these powers.
Yeah.
One for you, one for me, one for the other 2 characters. That now everybody can have like these 20 combined effects going on. So it can get pretty intense.
Yeah, it feels like you really have to, well, just like in the first one, you really have to communicate.
Yeah.
You really do.
Which is good for the couch play, right? The idea of sitting here
it's
together, looking through your inventory at the same time, you can figure out, oh, I need to have this. You should put on the amulet for regeneration. I should put this.
Because this right here, I can tell you, is an area that would temporarily end a friendship just for like 5 minutes. when we played Guardian of Light, this was the sort of thing. It's like, no, just let me roll the bolt. Stay away and let me roll the bolt.
Oh, that absolutely happens, right? And again, these rolly balls, instead of boulders and we upgraded even them for next gen. Right now, they dynamically light the world. So they have a little bit of sunlight inside of them that actually light things. They can light things on fire. Things like this, the bombs are back from Guardian, where you can drop bombs for puzzles. You can drop them to attack enemies. You can also attack your friends with them.
Yep.
So since you have a limited amount of loot in certain areas, you might have to actually kill your buddy or stop them from being able to get to where your particular treasure is. In this case, like a machine gun that you can pick up, you might want to get that before your buddy does. So you drop a bomb, they try and get there, you blow them up so you can get past them while they're on the ground picking themselves back up.
It's amazing how the best co-op games really switch between co-op and competitive.
It is that kind of co-opetition, right? It's the idea that we're definitely together on one adventure, going through this entire story, trying to solve this mystery of Osiris, but we're still competing. You still all have a score. You can even see on the display, the HUD display there, that you have a multiplier. So as your character's power meter gets up there, you're actually getting a multiplier on everything you accumulate. So all the gemstones you get, which you buy your gear with, all the points that you get, because you still have a challenge between who gets first, second, third, or fourth place through the tomb, and then you actually use those as challenge unlocks for other quests, or even things like this. When we actually were playing, you can see the one guy, Carter, makes a grapple line that people can go across.
And it's like, nope.
And then, let's one Egyptian across, then another, but the Egyptian actually bombs him, so it drops. So you can actually start screwing with your players. And that's one of the things we found the most, is the better you know someone, the more you'll screw with them.
Yes.
The idea, if you're just casual online friends, you actually kind of play nice to each other. But when it's like this, it drops me into the spikes, so not very friendly.
Yeah, there were a lot of, I'm sure there will be a lot of multiplier ending moments that I'll need to get revenge for.
Oh, there are, for sure. And you can even see these guys right now, talking about the amulets and power-ups. You can actually see their hands are glowing right now. It's one of the amulet effects that lets them all have fire. So whenever they're shooting, whether it's the staff that the Egyptians carry or any of the weapons that the other characters carry, they actually will fire off fire bullets right now or fire beams so that you can actually light things from a distance. So you can actually kind of upgrade in a very unique way. And then
I like that the Egyptian class is able to use themselves as like a stepping stone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's something like Kotek had a shield that you can hold up back in Guardian, but the Egyptians have a magic shield they can put on. And then this thing is actually from ancient Egyptian mythology. It's called Amet. It's actually a she. Amet is actually a crocodile mixed with a hippo mixed with some lion. It's a very bizarre mix of things that as soon as you're scarred at the beginning of the game, you're cursed, marked for death, this thing will hunt you down every time you're inside of a tomb. So it is just a monster of destruction. When you talk about next gen, all of this stuff you see from the lighting, the atmospherics, all the destructibility that we've added into the world, all of that stuff comes from being able to put that much horsepower into it with next gen.
I love that there was an alt path there on top of those towers.
Yeah, exactly, you're right. Having these skeletons up there that can launch these things at you, the game gets progressively harder the more characters you have in it. So you actually get more enemies, you actually get harder traps and puzzles, you have a bigger fight for the loot that you can accumulate. So it's not always great to have your extra friends around if they're screwing with you, or you're trying to get away from this giant crocodile thing chasing you out of a temple.
That's when I just leave a bomb and run ahead. Like, sorry, dudes.
Exactly. You'll see it here happen, right? You got 3 at the end. One guy respawns, but when you respawn, it costs you something, so you've lost some of the stuff you gained because you had to respawn. But here they have to help each other. One guy grapples the other one up, and then if they try and grapple, like Lara trying to grapple Isis up here, if it doesn't work right, suddenly they get both pulled off the edge. So now they both lost, and so they have to respawn. So this is the kind of stuff, that kind of organic co-op, but still competitive, that we really love about Guardian of Light and now Temple of Osiris.
It's amazing, man. So Temple of Osiris is coming to the PS4.
Yes.
Do we have a timeline yet, or?
We just say coming soon at this point. We haven't announced the timeline yet. But for us, it's certainly, we love to hear from our fans. That's why we went back to ancient Egypt. That's why we went and made a sequel. So, we'll get it out there as soon as we can.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for showing it off. I love the look of it. I cannot wait to just cause some real feuds between the people that I love.
We can't wait for you guys to enjoy it.
PlayStation